Hello, Internet. Gino that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today we are discussing the NFL for the third seasonal third month check in. We're almost done with NFL season. I am joined, as always, by Adam Borgmaster Redacted. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing about as well as the Bears.
Excellent. And we are also joined, as always, by Tyler Grav Redacted. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Gino, and I'm doing slightly better than the Bears.
That's good. Before we get into our NFL seasonal roundup, a reminder you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast at gmail.com. And you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens, where you could get access to our Discord. And you could also get access to the OG Soundcast if you pick that tier. Support the show if you're in a position to do so. All right, so I'm putting 6 minutes on the clock. We are going to be starting with the AFC East, the Eastern AFC division. And let's go. Okay. Got 6 minutes on the clock.
This two-team division. There are only two teams in the whole division. No one else. And even among those two teams, there's one dominant team and one not dominant team. But they're trying to make a run for the playoffs. They're probably not going to get in, but it'll be fun to watch them try.
Yes, so Tyler, your Fighting Buffalo Bills are 10-3. How are you feeling? Are you feeling strong about their playoff push?
I'm feeling less confident than I did a week ago. As of the time of this podcast, the Bills lost last
Thursday?
Sunday to the
Sunday.
LA Rams. It was Sunday. It was a Sunday game. And kind of lost in interesting fashion. The Bills put up 42 points, but the Rams put up 44. Still trying to digest that loss and derive meaning from it, but it's this feeling that if we run up against the Ravens, Lions, or Philadelphia, we're going to be in a world of trouble.
Yeah, those are good. They're definitely one of the better teams, but they're far from invincible. Josh Allen is very good. Their receiving core is solid. They've got a good running back. Their defense is, it's good. It's not like unstoppably good. But being simply consistent and having a good quarterback kind of gets you a lot of the way there, in the AFC East.
Yeah, I mean, originally this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for us. A lot of folks in the national media had either the Jets or Miami winning this division. So to clinch the division by week 12, just put the whole division on notice that we're going to have the AFC East locked down for probably another 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, I think, would have been competitors if Tua didn't get a concussion and miss a month or so. I don't think they would have passed the Bills, but they would have at least been competitive in some of the games they weren't. And the Dolphins, they are still sneaky, as we discussed during our wild card discussion last podcast we recorded. The Dolphins are a threat to make the wild card, but they're definitely underdogs for it. And now, let's spend some time dancing on the Jets and Patriots' graves.
Well, I want to say something about the Bills first.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to chime in on them. That was an insane game that they lost.
It was.
They lost in the wildest way possible. You don't see 80+ score games, 80+ point games. You don't see football games where in the NFL where the ending score looks like the first half of an NBA game.
You generally
don't. Like that was a wild game. And the thing with the Bills is Josh Allen is an elite offense just on his own. So as long as there are human beings around him, the offense is going to work, and they can't really get a losing season with Josh Allen because he does everything himself. He can throw, he can run, he can receive even.
Yeah, he's playing on another level. Some of the throws he was making were barely open, and he hit them perfectly. Did he score 5 touchdowns?
Six.
5 or 6?
6. Like
6.
3 rushing, 3 passing is what it was in that game.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So yeah, he's outstanding. The Dolphins are still a threat, but the Jets and the Patriots, though, the Jets, it's so funny. Come on now, they went all in. They traded for Aaron Rodgers' bestest friends, and they're still awful. They're 3-10. Garrett Wilson is apparently going to ask for a trade at some point between now and the end of the season and the offseason. They are falling apart. Breece Hall, their star running back, is hurt. Like, everything that could have gone wrong for the Jets has gone wrong. And boy, oh boy, is it great. As someone who genuinely hates them.
As a Giants fan, you love to see it.
As a Giants fan, which is, it's the gift that keeps on giving because they never, ever, ever, ever work it out. So this happens just every year, but it's interesting to see, you know that someone's gonna slip on the banana peel. You know that Charlie Chaplin's gonna slip on the banana peel, but it's seeing how he does it every time. It's so fun. And the Jets every year they find a new way to slip on the banana peel, and just brings me joy. It warms my little heart. So that's great.
So what part of that team would you say is not broken right now?
Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
He's gonna ask for a trade, so it's gonna be broken.
Yeah.
And then the Patriots.
I'll say it turns out that even though Robert Saleh, that guy's name was Robert Saleh, right?
The head coach.
I mean, probably
yes.
still his
coach.
name.
Yeah.
Even though he had a losing record with him, he was apparently load bearing.
Yes. Turns out he was not the problem.
Yeah. It turns out he was one keeping the problems at bay. So a complete and total collapse of the Jets is really it's really something to see because they were supposed to be a wild card team this year.
Oh well.
But yeah, we should do a watch party for the Aaron Rodgers documentary.
Should we?
I'm
Maybe.
down for it.
So my question then is, should we talk about the Patriots or Bill Belichick getting a job at UNC? Which is funnier?
I feel so sorry for those UNC students.
Is his girlfriend going to UNC? Is that why? That's why he's there.
I don't think she's going there, but I'm wondering if you're going to see her transfer now that he's officially accepted the head coaching position.
Yeah, the Patriots are bad. Their offensive line is doo-doo. Their quarterback can't get even 2 seconds to play offense because their offensive line can't block for him at all. So I think that kind of backs up my general stance that if your offensive line is bad, your offense will be bad regardless of talent or quarterback or anything else. And their defense wasn't good either. So they didn't really have a lot to go off of, and 3-10 is their record as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're bad, but it's not like a tire fire like the Jets are. Because everyone knew they were going to be bad. They were bad last year. So they're probably still in the process of rebuilding, right? I think they're like two or 3 years out from being actually competitive. But there is a path forward for them, and you see that they're following that path for the most part. So it's not a disaster. They're still cleaning up from the disaster.
Yeah, they had a sacrificial quarterback to start the season. They knew that this was what it was going to be. And they got what they deserve. Moving on to the AFC West, our eternal question: the Chiefs, can they keep getting away with it? They're 12-1.
I mean, as long as the human sacrifices keep coming, they're going to keep getting away with it.
They have a worse point differential than the Chargers and the Broncos, despite 4 more wins.
Yeah, I mean, by all measure, this should be like an 8-win team. They're starting to approach 2021 Minnesota Vikings territory, where that team finished the season like 5 Pythagorean wins better than what their point differential would indicate. The only solace I find in that fact is that during those playoffs, Minnesota got bounced in like the divisional round. So
Lost to the Giants.
Yep. The Giants did a world of favor. So I'm hoping history will repeat itself, and you're going to see Kansas City go down to whichever wild card team survives the weekend, if any of them.
I mean, they'll go down to whoever they meet in the divisional round. So
Right.
yeah,
Which most likely will be a wild card team. At least one wild card team in the AFC is going to make it to the divisional round.
Yeah, it'll be the Chargers or the Broncos.
Probably.
No, it won't be.
It'll
It'll
be
probably be
Baltimore.
it'll be the Ravens. Oh no, but the Ravens can't beat the Chiefs.
No, they can't. Look, it's cool that the Ravens have been so good on offense. It's been fun to watch Lamar Jackson have an MVP level season again. But we'll talk about them in the AFC North. But Chargers and Broncos, they're not real threats either, right?
I mean, AFC West football can be weird. I mean, it's not as weird as some of the other divisions, but like other than the Bills or the Steelers, I think the Chargers and Broncos are the only teams that might beat the Chiefs, and that's because they're division rivals.
Mm-hmm.
So they know the Chiefs like the back of their hands.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think? We kind of went over it in the wild card, but do you think Broncos or Chargers, or Broncos and Chargers make the playoffs?
Oh, both at this point.
Yeah,
like the Colts aren't going to get there. The Dolphins aren't going to get there. It'll be fun to watch, but they're not going to get there.
Okay. And then the lowly Raiders at 2-11 don't have a quarterback, it would appear.
I was going to say, who are they going to start this weekend for week 15?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, is it you? Are you going to go to Las Vegas and start for the Raiders?
I mean,
any like big guy that they see on the street, they just say, "Hey, do you want to be quarterback for the Raiders for a week?"
I hope they just run Wildcat all game. They just direct snap to running backs all game. Just say we don't have a quarterback. Just run the Tim Tebow offense, like no passes.
that might actually behoove them. Right now, they're sitting in the first overall pick for the draft. You're at 2-11. You have the same record as the New York Giants, and there's one, maybe two good quarterbacks in this draft. I think if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're doing everything you can to not lose that number one overall pick to the Giants.
By that, we mean you are doing everything you can to lose every single game.
You got it.
Yeah, it's bleak. The Raiders are bleak. Chargers are a good defense, and their quarterback's a little banged up. The Broncos, hard to trust them, but their defense is elite. And that's made up a lot of it, and Bo Nix isn't awful.
Bo Nix, I've been fairly impressed with the past couple of weeks. It looks like things are starting to click for him. To me, it looked like he's actually going through progressions. He's hitting those open receivers. We'll see how long that lasts, or if he can duplicate it against an elite defense in the playoffs. But if I'm a Denver Broncos fan, I'm actually feeling pretty decent about my future.
Yeah, because Bo Nix is doing better than, any of the sophomore quarterbacks.
He is
currently going. I guess
we'll see.
CJ Stroud has a similar record.
We'll see, like when there's tape
but
on Bo Nix if it holds up, right? Like that's what happens a lot of times is you get a rookie quarterback. There's not a lot of tape on them. You can't study up on them super well, and then a year later there's tape, and you know their preferences, and then it gets a little harder, and the quarterback needs to grow at that point. We'll see. Definitely an interesting team. The AFC West is probably the most interesting division with three actual playoff teams. Now moving on to the AFC North. Same question about the Steelers. Are they going to keep getting away with it?
Eventually, the Steelers and the Chiefs will meet in the postseason. It'll be a war between two factions of chaos.
I'm going to correct you on that, Adam, because the Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to meet on December 25th, which...
Oh, no, right? They have the Christmas game.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm hoping we all get the best Christmas gift in a Kansas City loss.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's going to be a low scoring. That's going to be an ugly, horrible game between the Chiefs and the Steelers.
We're going to see whose bullshit powers are more powerful, the Chiefs or Mike Tomlin's I just don't lose magic. I don't know what the common term is nowadays, but that's a game I'm very much looking forward to because it's also going to be a meaningful game, right? Right now, the Bills and Pittsburgh have the same record, and they have the same record in the AFC. If Pittsburgh loses that game, I think it secures Buffalo's number 2 seed.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the Steelers can keep it up.
Yep.
It feels like they have been barely winning these games, escaping by the skin of their teeth a lot. Earlier in the season, they've been playing better now that Russell Wilson's starting. Weird as that is to say, we'll see. The Ravens, trust them? They'll make the playoffs, I think.
I mean, they're one of the best run games in the league because they have both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. You know, they have really good skill position players. You know, it's still the same great offense they had last year. Defense is another question. But no, I don't trust them in the slightest.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I do not know what it is about this team. Because you see the offense, see what they're producing, and you think this team should be way better than 8-5. And I guess it just comes down to defense and special teams. Like the defense is like a bottom 10 unit, right? It's in that lower third of the league. And you think about like all the kicks Justin Tucker has missed in crucial moments this season. And you wonder if he hits a few more of those, how many more games Baltimore Ravens win.
Now that Justin Tucker is missing field goals and they don't have a reliable field goal kicker, that's going to hurt, and it might cost them more games.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, their defense being deeply, deeply bad is definitely, I mean, it's the reason they're not a clear playoff team, and it hasn't really improved. So we'll see if they can out-offense some more teams. The Bengals, 5-8, sad team, I think. Joe Burrow.
The Bengals is a story of a team that was not, right? Because they have everything that they should have to go anywhere. I mean, not defense, which is why they're at 5-8, but they should have been better than they were. They should have had a better year.
Yeah,
They
I
didn't.
mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are arguably having MVP seasons. If you take away like the win-loss record and just look at what they're producing just on their own, you would put them up there with the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC. But because the defense is just absolute tatters, and outside of maybe T. Higgins on the offense, there's nobody else there for Burrow to throw to.
Chase Brown's is doing a pretty good job at running back, but yeah, they are an all-offense team like the Ravens, but their defense is even worse.
Yes.
And their offense is just not as well distributed.
I mean, even in that Monday night game against the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, Dallas is starting a backup quarterback. Dak Prescott is, got hurt early on in the year. Cincinnati just does not have the pieces to contend at this moment.
No.
And it's kind of a shame, really.
Speaking of teams that don't have the pieces to contend, the Cleveland Browns, with maybe the funniest quarterback situation I can remember in recent years, because Jameis Winston is starting at quarterback for them. And boy, oh boy, have I not seen a player who just wants to slang that thing like Jameis Winston. He giveth, he taketh every game. Get like 2 or 3 amazing touchdown passes, and then the stupidest interception you've ever seen. It's every game. You have to go.
So then it's more like he giveth, but to everyone.
Yes.
Like Santa Claus.
It's exactly like Santa Claus.
Mhm.
Yes. Did you watch his game against the Broncos?
I did not catch that one.
Okay, I watched it. I watched most of it because it was on national television, and they almost came back in that game multiple times. Except Jameis, did he throw 1 pick six? He threw 1 pick six and then another pick at the very end of the game, trying to make his full comeback. It was incredible.
Didn't he throw 2 pick sixes in that game?
I don't remember if it was 2 pick sixes or 3. I think it was 3 picks. I think there might have been 2 pick sixes. It was incredible.
Yeah, Jameis Winston, Mr. 30 for 30. The funny thing is even with all those interceptions and pick sixes, he is still the most likable Browns quarterback right now in that city.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say people like Jameis Winston though. Like he's a fun
Yeah.
guy.
Still better at quarterbacking also than Deshaun Watson. Like you want the riverboat gambler over here versus the rapey boy.
So, just as
Yeah.
a open-ended question to the panel, do we think Deshaun Watson is going to be back playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2025?
Boy.
I hope not.
A part of me says I hope not. Another part of me says that's what the Browns deserve. They deserve to have to live through his entire contract after having traded for him and giving him the contract. So I'm kind of rooting for maximum suffering. Is that bad? Is that wrong of me?
I mean, this is Cleveland we're
It is
talking about,
Cleveland.
so I can't really fault you for that.
Yeah. Pox on their house. They should have to, deal with the entirety of the pox. But yeah, I mean, Jameis Winston is a mediocre quarterback, but better mediocre than morally repugnant and also bad. Like Jameis seems like I don't know. He seems like a fun guy. And he seems like he's turned his life around from some early career troubles. Now on to the AFC South. We have the Texans, Colts, Jaguars, and Titans. The Texans are technically in first at 8-5. This division has been awful for my entire life. I feel like since Peyton Manning has been out of it, and this year is no different.
Yeah, well, see, this is another one of those two-team divisions. There's only two teams here: the Texans and the Colts. Texans are 2 games ahead of the Colts, so this is probably their division this year. That's saying very little because the Texans have the same record as the Chargers and the Broncos
And the Ravens.
and the Ravens.
Yeah, this is a team that would not be winning a division if its division wasn't a joke. But they get to beat the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Colts, and that's a lot of wins that you kind of get for free. The Colts brought Anthony Richardson back. He's starting again instead of Joe Flacco. Have you seen any of his games? Are you seeing any improvement there? Seems like he's throwing the ball better.
Yeah, I mean, this is still practically speaking his first year because he was injured almost immediately last year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still growing into the role.
Yeah. I mean, you look at him, you see like the physical attributes are there. He seems like that type of guy. He's willing to put the entire team on his back and go make a play. He's just very, very raw at the moment. And, I'm willing to give him another year or two to see if he develops. But right now, I'm thinking I'm leaning more towards the no side.
The interesting thing for me about him is that Anthony Richardson throws an amazing deep ball. He's accurate on it. He hits his deep receivers a lot, but anything intermediate or touch, he's pretty bad on. And he's like an opposite version of so many of those like dink and dunk QBs.
Yeah.
Derek's Carr or Brock's Purdy. The ones who are just making short, accurate throws a lot of the time. Your Tua's Tagovailoa.
If he can figure out that aspect of his game, then he's going to have a really bright career. Now that you say that, Gino, it makes me think back to the early Josh Allen years where everybody saw the athleticism, everybody could see the arm talent down the field, but his major flaw was, hitting those short to intermediate routes. And the solution to that was just get better mechanics, fix your throwing motion.
Yeah, I hope that Anthony Richardson figures it out because he's an exciting player.
Yeah, and I think we deserve to have the Colts be good for a while again. It was kind of fun during the Peyton Manning era, and I don't know, I just can't get behind Houston or Jacksonville.
I agree. Jacksonville Jaguars. How do you fix this?
You burn it all down, change cities, and start over.
Okay, good answer. The Tennessee Titans. Anything there? They've kind of got mayonnaise Jameis Winston at quarterback, and I say that because he likes mayonnaise, not as a racial thing.
Also as a racial thing. I mean, the Titans, I mean, for the last couple of years, it seems like they're like halfway to putting it together, but they're stuck halfway to putting it together.
Yeah, I mean, Will Levis, he also loves slanging that thing. He throws interceptions all the time. His throws are inaccurate, and he just loves throwing it deep. And at least Tony Pollard's having a little resurgence. That's fun, right? That's something.
Yeah, that's something more than I guess being safe with the Jaguars. Oh no, the Jags also have one good player on their team who's stuck there. What's his name?
Which one? Calvin Ridley, their
Brian
wide receiver?
Thomas.
Oh, the Jaguars.
I forget
Sorry,
which
yeah,
one.
the Jaguars.
But
Brian
yeah.
Thomas, their wide receiver, probably is who you're thinking of, or Travis Etienne,
Oh,
their
okay.
running back. But I think he's hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That was a defense. Anyway, but yeah, the Titans, they bottomed out a while ago, and they're still at the bottom. There's no path forward to climb their way out.
they deserve this. All right, moving to the NFC. Let's start with the NFC East. The NFC East, we've got the Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. The Eagles, I think it's them or the Lions who are kind of the prohibitive favorites to win the NFC. How are we liking them? Boring but good?
I mean, the vibes with the Birds aren't great. I mean, they keep winning, but the vibes aren't good.
Yeah, that's
But it's Philadelphia, so I guess like baseline vibes are always bad.
'cause it's Philly.
But the vibes seem like a bit worse than from like the Philadelphia usual, which is weird for a team with like an 11-2 record.
they're angsty despite winning is I think a good way to put it. Like no amount of success makes them happy. They seem like they could fall apart at any moment, but they keep winning games.
So, interesting about both Philadelphia and Minnesota, since you brought it up, Borgmaster. My model thinks that these two teams are basically the same team, and both these teams are currently overperforming what it thinks their record should be. By all accounts, these two teams should be like 9-win teams. I guess to me that signifies that these might be upset candidates. Maybe not in the wild card round, but definitely in the divisional round.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's looking like the Eagles and the Commanders will see each other in the wild card, which that'll be a fun game.
Would be.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are fraudulent. They're 5-8. They're bad. I guess fraudulent doesn't apply because they're just bad.
But they're still 5-8.
Yeah.
Gino, how could you personally allow the Cowboys to still be 5-8 for how bad they are?
Because God is not as merciful as you would hope. And so, despite the fact that the Cowboys are awful and a despicable team owned by a despicable man, they continue to win games because they get to play against my fighting New York Giants and other not so great teams.
So here's a fun fact for you, Gino. The New York Giants are 1 point worse in their point differential, yet have 3 less wins than the Dallas Cowboys.
Sounds like that's a great move for drafting a quarterback. Because was Danny Dimes still on the team when last we recorded?
He might have been. I think it was right before he left.
He's not there anymore.
So wait, no, because Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, we
was just
did
starting.
talk about Tommy DeVito and his and how you should pander. If you're going to have a bad quarterback, you might as well pander to your local ethnic group.
But he's injured. So who's the quarterback now?
Oh man, who is it? Is it Tyrod Taylor? No, he's on the Patriots. Who Giants? Who plays quarterback for you right now? Let's see. They played the Saints last week. Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. There you go.
I think he's hurt now.
Sick.
Yeah. So it's not Tyrod Taylor anymore.
No, he has switched teams. So we'll find out. We'll find out who's playing quarterback, similar to the Raiders.
I am going to point out that the Giants are 0-7 at home so far this season.
Yep.
which is somehow worse than the Cowboys, who are 1-6.
Incredible.
So,
So good.
I have to ask Gino, out of the two most likely overall quarterbacks, Shador Sanders and that Cameron Ward, who are you feeling at the moment?
I would like Sanders because that would be funny to me. It would be fun. Let's bring the Buffaloes, the Colorado Buffaloes, who are near. Like, I could go to their games if I cared to. I don't, but let's bring them. Let's bring their vibe to New York. Let's bring the circus, the Deion Sanders circus, to New York. That'd be fun. I don't know anything about the other guy. Okay, moving on to the NFC West. We've got the Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, and 49ers. Against all odds, a team actually distinguished themselves from the crowd. The Seahawks are 8-5, Rams are 7-6, Cardinals and 49ers both 6-7. Borgmaster, do you think that the Seahawks will stay differentiated, or gravity will pull all of these teams to 500?
Well, the Seahawks have enough of a lead that they are, in the plurality of outcomes, they're going to win the division for what that's worth. I think the Rams, like if they can keep their momentum going, they could probably upset the Seahawks, by the last week. But there's still 4 games left for each of these teams, so it is still technically anyone's division. But these bastards. All right, let me just lay this out here. The Seattle Seahawks, they're 8-5, point differential of plus 19. Okay, so plus 19. The former St. Louis Rams, they're 7-6, point differential of negative 34. The Arizona Cards, they're at 6-7, point differential of negative 5. And the Bay Area Niners are also at 6-7, point differential of 0.
Balanced, as all things should
These
be.
motherfuckers.
Yep. This is the most
There is no accounting for the NFC West.
most mediocre division we've seen in quite some time. In like literal terms, I'm not saying mediocre like bad. Like truly, these are the most average teams you could ever assemble, and they are all in the same division. It's incredible.
What makes it even better, guys? In terms of the draft, it's Arizona 16, San Francisco 17, LA Rams 18.
Oh, good
So-
God.
Incredible.
Oh man, I just hope that they finish the season like that. I don't care which order, just the 3 of them, one right after another.
Yeah, it's truly something. When you look at it, like their division wins, the Seahawks are at 3-2, Rams and Cards are, well, Rams are at 2-1, Cards are at 2-2, Niners at 1-3. So so at least that makes sense. But then, like when you look at their home and away stats, which don't really mean very much, but the Rams, Cards, and Niners are all at 4-3 at home, and the Seahawks are at 3-4 at home. Like even when they differentiate themselves in one way, they're still all the same in a different way. It's maddening.
Well, this Thursday night, so in an hour, the LA Rams are going to be playing in San Francisco. If San Francisco loses that game, they go to 6-8, and that might be the end of their season.
Because then the Rams will be 8-6.
That would be
So
very fun.
huge implications in tonight's game.
I mean, there's huge implications in every NFC West game for the rest of the season.
Because they're all the same team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the NFC North. We've got the Lions, Viking.
Actually, let's save them for last. Let's touch on the NFC South
Okay,
first.
sure. The NFC South. So remember everything we said about the NFC West? What if the bad teams were even worse? That's kind of what the NFC South is.
So I think I recall in the last recording we had, I think 3 weeks ago, I was saying that I actually like the Bucks to upset the Falcons, and y'all thought I was crazy. I seem to recall.
I don't
We can check the tape, but
think that's true because I can't believe in any of these teams. So I can't have a strong opinion about any of them. We can check the tape.
But yeah, so the Bucks have upset the Falcons.
We have.
They came from behind with a steel chair, hit the Falcons over the head, and now they're in the lead of the NFC South for what that's worth.
My ability to not believe in Kirk Cousins knows no bounds. Okay, so I believe that he can screw up anything, and including losing to the Buccaneers with like a shell of a team in terms of their receivers. Like they've lost so many receivers throughout the year, and they're continuing to churn on because the NFC South is a joke. Do you think the Saints can?
The Saints might jump the Falcons for second in division, which will just, I guess, hurt them next year because they'll have slightly harder teams to play. But that's all the Saints can do. The Panthers are somehow rallying in the back half of the season. I mean, they're not getting many more wins, but they're playing better.
They are.
Somehow.
Yeah, Bryce Young seems to have unlocked something. I mean, it's not good. Like, he's not a good quarterback yet. He's at least less embarrassing of a quarterback. Yeah, but the Panthers are frisky. They're dangerous. I think the Falcons. Do you think that there's any chance that Penix plays this year?
Yes.
How many more games would they have to lose?
Either week 17 or 18, he starts.
Okay. Do you think he immediately looks better than the statue that is Kirk Cousins?
Well, if Kirk plays any more games like he did last time, he threw, how many interceptions was it? 5?
That sounds like a real Kirk Cousins-y thing to do.
Yeah, so as long as Penix doesn't give away the ball every drive, he will look better than Kirk. He won't win, but he'll look better than Kirk.
For the sake of being contrarian, Borgmaster, I'm going to disagree with you. If I'm the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, I look at my remaining schedule. They're at the Raiders, they're home against the Giants, away against the Commanders, and then you're home against the Panthers. You should be able to win 3 out of these last 4 games. I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying you should be able to win 3 of these last 4 games. That gets you to 9-8,
9 wins,
which very well might be just enough to win you this division. And
yeah, but the Bucks have the Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints.
Yeah.
They can also win 3 of those.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you're the Atlanta head coach, you're trying to win those games with Kirk Cousins. You're not going to take a roll of the dice with Michael Penix Jr.
Counterpoint. Kirk Cousins is bad.
I guess it all depends on how much the Falcons' offense chokes in the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is referred to as Captain Average for a reason. At the beginning of the season, he was a stone cold killer. He's gone cold since then, so
He's just stone cold.
he might be able to pick things up here in the next 2 weeks against clearly inferior competition.
I also just want to give a quick shout out to the Atlanta coaching for just like giving random touchdowns to Tyler Algier and not Bijan Robinson. I find it very funny for all the people who drafted Bijan Robinson as like an elite fantasy running back that they continue to run a split backfield despite taking a running back very highly. It brings me nothing but joy.
Even though Bijan is the best running back in the NFC South.
It's great. So it's very funny to me that they continue to just not lean on. Well, for fantasy purposes, you know, like they're doing fine. Their running game is fine. It's just very funny that for fantasy purposes, they continue to just give touchdowns to Tyler Algier. Please keep doing that. It's very funny. Now we turn our attention, our lonely eye, on the NFC North. We're gonna start from the bottom here. Adam, you're Bears. You're a lifelong Bears fan. Everyone knows this. Are the Bears?
The Chicago Bears. Things aren't going great.
No.
Everyone acknowledges that the season's over. Basically, the locker room has fallen apart, or is falling apart as we speak. Matt Eberflus needed to go, but he was also apparently somehow load bearing. And that's a problem. They need to clean out the entire coaching staff over in the offseason, start over. They need to build an O-line, which, I mean, they've always needed to build an O-line this season. So they need to fix that. They need coaching. They need coaching in general. And basically just rebuild and start again next year. It's, they had those games where they lost due to the interference of God. There was that Hail Mary that from Jane Daniels that won their game against the Bears. There was that field goal. There was that complete mental fart on the part of Eberflus and Caleb Williams, where they just gave away that one game in the last minute. I forget against who. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore.
Matters anymore.
Who was
Nothing can hurt
against
you anymore.
This team should be at 7 wins, which would still be the bottom of the NFC North, because the NFC North is the only real division in football right now. And yeah, it's over.
So I guess the next logical question is out of this next group of head coaching candidates, who are you looking forward to? Who are you not looking forward to?
Man, I don't know.
Can I interest you in a Deion Sanders?
Yeah. I was thinking a good head coach for Chicago Bears would be Brian Vrabel. He was the former head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's kind of like a Mike Tomlin light, where you're not getting anything really tactical with him, but he's that type of coach that gets the most out of his players. It seems like, he's able to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, if you know what I'm talking about.
The vibes will be better, and that's...
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
But
vibes will be better, hopefully. That's all you can really hope for.
I think he's the type of person that you bring into your organization to change the culture, and I think more than anything, that Chicago Bears locker room needs a culture change.
It really does. They need a Harbaugh effect. They need someone to come in and do what Harbaugh did to the Chargers.
And
need a charismatic psychopath to show up and teach everyone to how to work on time and other things.
Yes, we need a charismatic psychopath to come in and to love bomb the QB so he gets his confidence back.
So the Lions are the best team in the NFC. So good on them. They're continuing to rampage. The Vikings somehow are 11-2, and really, I don't appreciate Sam Darnold doing this, making our first podcast look silly. Me making fun of him. I don't like it.
That's what you get when you mess with a ginger.
Frankly, rude of him. And the Packers are still A-okay. They're 9-4. They are an above-average team. Almost this whole division will go to the playoffs, except the Bears.
Yeah, the Packers, I think, are cooling off compared to the Vikings Alliance, but I still expect the Vikings to collapse. I'm still waiting for it.
I'm going to bet against the Vikings until they win the Super Bowl. I will bet against them every step of the way.
Pretty much, yeah. Whereas the Lions they might be the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
which is wild.
If I look at this NFC playoff picture, if the season was to end right now, you would have Minnesota going to Tampa Bay, and you would have Green Bay going to Seattle. In as much questions as I have about Minnesota and Green Bay, I still think they're better than those two teams in the 3rd and the 4th seed. You might be looking at 2 wildcard weekend upsets in the NFC.
Entirely possible.
Yeah, I fully expect for all 3 of these teams to make it to the divisional round.
I agree. So that is our wrap-up of the 3rd quarter of the NFL season. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, there are 4 weeks left as of recording.
Any closing thoughts, Borgmaster?
I guess we're all going to be rooting for Detroit in the Super Bowl.
So,
because of Because if there's any team in the NFC that has a chance at stopping the Chiefs, it's going to be them.
Mhm. Tyler, any closing thoughts?
I like Detroit, but their defense is pretty banged up. This weekend is going to be a good litmus test against my Buffalo Bills. If that defense can shut down Josh Allen, then I think they're shooing for the Super Bowl. If Allen's able to run around and pull off a miracle, then I have some concerns for Detroit's postseason run. And yeah, go Bills.
So what he's saying is, if Allen can keep throwing to himself against the Lions, then it's more of an open question about their Super Bowl chances.
Yeah.
And also, don't go Giants. Don't go. Stop going.
At
all
least
right.
Daniel Jones found a good home in Minnesota.
Yeah. No, they're taking all sorts of New York-based quarterbacks and rehabilitating them, and I appreciate that, Minnesota. Thank you for giving them good homes and warm beds to sleep in.
Yes, they're all sent to a farm upstate where they can run free and be happy.
Run free, be happy, and throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Well, that'll do it for another football podcast. Thank you, dear listeners. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That is our email address, and you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Until next time, peace.
I know.